Stop scrolling, because tonight the forest isn't empty, it's being watched. Under a silver moon, where mist clings to the trees and every sound feels too loud, Artemis moves like a shadow with a heartbeat, silent, deadly, and divine. She is the goddess of the hunt, the guardian of wilderness, the one whose arrows never miss, and whose presence turns moonlight into a weapon. You won't hear her coming, only the soft shift of leaves, the faint draw of a bowstring, and the sudden certainty that in this night you are not the hunter. You are simply standing inside Artemis's domain, where the moon guides her path and the forest obeys her law. In the wild places of Greece, where mountains cut the sky and forests swallow sound, Artemis is not a distant legend. She is a presence. The kind you feel when the air turns cold, when animals go silent, when moonlight looks sharper than it should. Artemis is the daughter of Zeus and Leto, and the twin sister of Apollo, born into the world with the power of a god, but the freedom of the wilderness. She is known first as the goddess of the hunt, bow in hand, quiver on her back, moving with a stillness that makes even the wind seem loud. But Artemis is more than hunting. She rules the wilderness itself, wild animals, forests, mountains, and the fragile border between nature and human control. She is also a protector of young women and children, a guardian of purity and personal boundaries, and, paradoxically, she is honored as a goddess connected to childbirth and protection in dangerous transitions. Artemis holds life and danger in the same hands, because the wild does too. That's why your scene works perfectly. A night forest, a hunt, and the moon guiding the path. In early tradition, the moon itself is most directly personified by Selene, but over time, Artemis becomes strongly linked to moonlight in art and later storytelling, because moonlight is the hunter's lantern, and Artemis is the hunter's law. So when you show Artemis in a moonlit forest, the moon isn't just scenery, it is her signature, cold, clean, and unmistakable. In Artemis's world, hunting is not cruelty, it is balance. She doesn't roam the forest like a mindless killer. She roams like a force that keeps the wild from collapsing. Predators must eat, herds must move, seasons must turn, and humans must remember. The forest is not their property. Artemis is the goddess who protects the wild from being treated as a toy. And Artemis is also the goddess who defends boundaries, especially the boundaries people are tempted to break when they think no one is watching. This is where one of her most famous stories begins. Actaeon, a skilled hunter, enters the wrong place at the wrong moment and crosses a sacred line. In many tellings, he sees Artemis bathing, something forbidden, something private, something holy, and the punishment is swift. Artemis transforms him into a stag, and the hunter becomes the hunted as his own hounds no longer recognize him. You don't need graphic details to make this terrifying, because the lesson is already sharp. In Artemis' domain, taking what you are not allowed to see is not an accident. It's a violation, and in the wild, violations have consequences. So when you show Artemis in a moonlit forest, don't just make her cool, make her inevitable. She is the silent judgment of the wilderness. She is the reason even a confident hunter can suddenly feel like prey. Another powerful myth shows Artemis as fiercely loyal to her mother Leto. A mortal queen named Niobe boasts that she is greater than Leto because she has more children. And in Greek myth, arrogance toward the divine is a spark thrown into dry grass. Artemis and Apollo answer that insult, not because they enjoy suffering, but because the gods defend the order that humans keep forgetting. For a clean, non-graphic voice video, you can frame it simply. Niobe's pride collapses into grief, and her story becomes a warning. Never confuse loudness with greatness, and never mistake the god's silence for weakness. Now bring it back to the hunt, because Artemis is not only wrath, she is also guidance. Imagine a forest trail swallowed by fog. Mortals stumble, fearful, unsure which way is safe. Then the clouds split, and moonlight pours down like a path drawn across the ground. That is Artemis, not a gentle hand that carries you, but a cold, clear light that tells you where you stand. In her world, safety is earned by respect. Respect for the wild, respect for vows, respect for what is not yours. And the most cinematic truth about Artemis is this: she doesn't chase attention. She doesn't need a throne room to prove power. Her kingdom is the places where humans feel small: deep forests, high ridges, midnight rivers, and the silver hush of the moon. When she raises her bow, it's not just to strike. It's to remind the world that there are laws older than cities and that the wilderness is alive, watching, and sacred. And that is the truth about Artemis. She isn't a goddess you can bargain with, and she isn't a myth you can tame. She is the wilderness itself, silent, watchful, and absolute. Under the moon, her arrows don't just hunt prey, they enforce the oldest law of the forest: respect the wild, or be swallowed by it. Because Artemis's power isn't only in the hunt, it's in the boundaries she draws. She protects what is sacred: privacy, vows, innocence, and the fragile balance between humans and nature. In her world, the moonlight is more than beauty. It's a warning lantern, guiding those who honor her path and exposing those who step where they don't belong. So the next time you imagine a night forest, listen carefully. If the wind suddenly stops, if the animals fall silent, if the silver light feels sharp on your skin, that isn't fear. That's Artemis. And in her domain, there is only one rule: walk lightly, speak softly, and never forget who truly owns the night.